Um, let's talk about yisro. 4 points about yisro, and that will help us to perhaps understand what is going on with our constitutional crisis in the government. Basically, what is the problem with the government? That the government wants to make a legal reform of the legal system. They want to say that in these 4 points, they want to say legal advisors should not have final authority. The ministers in the government should have the final authority. They want to say that the judges cannot just say something is illegal because it's not reasonable. It has to be in the law. They can't just say the law is unreasonable and therefore it's unlawful. They don't have the right to do that. The third point is who chooses the judges. And the judges say we should choose the judges. And the government wants to say, no, we choose the judges. And the final point is, in contention, is who gets the final word. Can the court override a decision of the government? Or can the government say the court has got no right to override the government? That's the constitutional crisis. And we're going to try and understand from yisro what's the essence of this crisis, of this argument, this difference of opinion regarding these fundamental legal issues. So let's look at yisro. Yisro, there's 4 quick points. We only have 10 minutes. 4 quick points about yisro. First of all, we have yisro coming. He hears about Yetzias Mitzrayim, and then he makes a decision to come and join Yisrael. What does he do? He takes Moshe. He comes to join Moshe. He takes Moshe's wife and her children. And what's the significance of that? Why is Yisro the Torah making such a fuss of Yisro taking Moshe's wife and children to come and join Moshe? And he says, "Here I'm coming with your wife and children." That's point A. Point B, Yisro then, when he's arrived at Moshe gives an account to Yisro of everything that happened. This is how Hashem took all the out of Mitzrayim and all the miracles. Why is that so significant? The Moshe recounts to Yisro all the events of Yetzias Mitzrayim. The very first verse in the parasha says Yisro heard about the great miracles that happened to Klal Yisrael. That's why he came. So why does Moshe have to then go into the discussion about what's happened? And then Yisro hears what Moshe tells him, and he says, "Vayichad Yisro." He's delighted over what happened. He says, "Baruch Hashem, look what Hashem has done on behalf of Yisrael." What is the significance of that discussion between Moshe and Yisro? Third point is then we have Yisro the day after the party, after Moshe and Yisro had got together and had recounted all the events. The next day, Moshe sits and judges the people, and everyone's coming to Moshe for counsel, for eitzes and shalom bayis, for dealing with any arguments they've got in the Choshen Mishpat, they didn't have a lost scotch, etc. And Moshe is doing this all himself. So Yisro says to Moshe, "How can you possibly, Moshe, handle all the problems and judge all the problems of the people by yourself?" So Moshe says, "Everyone comes to me. That's why I judge." So Yisro says, "This is not viable. This is not reasonable. You have to appoint," and he gives them a system. You have to appoint junior people from the people, officers, judges from the people. They will judge the cases. They will hear the problems of the people. They will be the executive and the judges dealing with all issues. And if there's any particularly difficult issues, then you, Moshe, will be the final arbitrator. You'll be the high court. Beyond that, everything can be judged by the other people, the rest of the people. So why did Moshe not propose that himself? Why did Moshe think he's going to judge everyone himself? He's going to sit and be the sole judge, deciding everything. Thank you, lost scotch. Thank you very much. Very good. Yes, unfortunately, this was not at that time. But now that all judges there are many judges, they can easily write their own svarim about Choshen Mishpat. And the 4th point, thank you. What is the 4th point? What is the 4th? When do we first hear about Yisro? When's the very first time we come across Yisro? It's not in the Psukim, it's in the Medrash. The first time we come across Yisro is per the Medrash, when Pari was complaining about the Israelites overwhelming Egyptian society. They were becoming all the top doctors and lawyers, musicians, politicians, and Egypt, Pari said, they're taking over. So Paro said, what we're going to do? He said, let's take an eight. So let's think about what we're going to do. And who did he consult with? There's three main advisors. One was Eoy, one was Bilam, and one was Yisro. Bilam said, persecute them, do whatever you can to make their life difficult. They should suffer, and they should no longer be a significant, large, important people. That's what Bilam said. Eoy said nothing. He was politically correct, said nothing. He was punished for that in the end. Yisro ran away. Why? Because he thought this is wrong. The question is, why did Yisro run away? Why did Yisro not, if he felt this is wrong, why did he not stay and argue the case on behalf of Yisro? Why did he run away? So that's 4 points we've asked about Yisro, we've noted about Yisro. We're going to try and explain them based on what's going on in the current political standoff. Coming back to politics, we could say, what is the fundamental issue in today's constitutional crisis in Israel that is troubling the people? And it's a fundamental question of, it seems, where should authority be? Does authority lie with the judges, with the elite intellectuals, the elite judges? They're the ones that should decide what is right and what is wrong, what is appropriate. Or no, does the wisdom and understanding and the legal right to decide what should be the ultimate laws, should that reside with the people? Should it reside with the elite, the judges, or should it reside, is the authority meant to be vested with the people themselves? That's a fundamental question in this case, in the case of this legal crisis in Israel. Lahavdil, Evavos, you can say this is perhaps even similar to what is actually going on in Yisro. And I want to demonstrate this, illustrate this by 1/35 second.
Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is truly everywhere.
This is the underlying principle.
Hashem is there, Hashem is truly everywhere. Up, up, down, down, right, left, and all around. Here, there, and everywhere. That's where he can be found. Up, up, down, down, right, left, and all around. Here, there, and
Okay, I hope you got the message. So basically, that's the basic fundamental question. We said in the case of politics, does the wisdom reside with the people, or does wisdom reside with the elite leaders? So Lahavdil El Vavdos, we can say spiritually, that's also what's going on with Yisro. That Yisro, the question, where is, in our world, where is Hashem's presence? Is Hashem's presence, so to speak, manifest throughout the world with everyone? Or is it sort of, Hashem is not quite in this world available to everyone? Perhaps it needs a special, the Rabbanim, the Gedolim, the Nevi'im, they're the only ones that can access Hashem's wisdom, and they convey that to the people. That was perhaps the fundamental question that's being considered here. It says, let's start off. When Yisro came, it says he heard about what happened to Yisro. He heard everything that happened, that Hashem had done. And it says, if I can just show you this, it says, Yisro heard everything Hashem did, l'Moshe u'Yisrael. And maybe this was the issue of concern. It says, Yisro, who is the one that is fundamentally received, the beneficiary of Yetzias Mitzrayim? Was it Yisrael, or was it Moshe himself? So Yisro, who said, Yisro came to receive the Torah. Yisro said, even a non-Jew can receive the Torah. Why? Because he was coming with the view that Hashem's word is relevant in the world to everyone. Everyone can share in the Torah. And therefore, says Yisro, if Yisrael came out of Egypt, is the schus mainly of Yisrael. And Moshe Rabbeinu was, of course, the great Navi who enabled this. But Moshe himself, Moshe himself was perhaps just the representative of Yisrael. But Yisro heard that Moshe uli Yisrael, Hashem did everything for Moshe. Says Yisro, maybe that's too much. Maybe there's too much emphasis being placed on Moshe. Therefore, says Yisro, I'm going to bring Moshe, his wife and children. Why? Because maybe Yisro was concerned, was in such an elevated place that he had left his wife and children, become so holy, so removed from the world, that Hashem, so to speak, was only speaking only to Moshe, was only relevant to Moshe. So Yisro is coming to say, no, Moshe, here's your wife and children, you can be part of the people. Hashem is, so to speak, with everyone. Hashem is everywhere, as we saw in that rendition earlier. And that maybe is also part of, we said, the story. Moshe comes and Moshe, let's go back to the screen. Moshe tells him the story. He recounts what happened. And it says when he says, Vaisaper Moshe l'choisnoi, Eitz kol asher asol lefarao Mitzrayim, al oidos Yisrael. We asked, what's Yisro repeat? Why is Moshe repeating the story? So we can say that there is an additional element here that's emphasized. That Moshe told Yisro, Hashem did everything al oidos Yisrael, for the sake of Yisrael. It wasn't just for me, it wasn't about me, says Moshe. It's for the sake of Yisrael. They're on a level that they can merit this. So then the next verse says, Vayichad Yisro. Yisro rejoiced, he was delighted, because this is what he had heard. He knew about all the miracles, but he says, now that I have heard that everything is Asher Oso Hashem Yisrael. Now I'm happy that I'm hearing from you, Moshe, that everything's on behalf of Yisrael. That is the perspective that I was suggesting is more relevant. And this perhaps then leads us to the third point, that Yisro the next day saw Moshe sitting and judging the people. And Yisro said, this is too much, Moshe, you are doing it all yourself. And this is again Yisro L'shitosei. That Yisro is concerned that Moshe maybe is, to a certain extent, maybe of the opinion, not quite, but is emphasizing the perspective that maybe only Moshe is appropriate, has the spiritual ability to judge Yisrael. And Yisrael is saying, no, you can appoint, it's too much for you, and it is appropriate to appoint people from Yisrael. Anyone can judge Yisrael, who's the Talmud Chacham, who's got the appropriate kelim. From Yisrael themselves, you can have representatives judging the people. Therefore, that was Yisrael's innovation. And the final point, hopefully we're not over 10 minutes yet, we're almost there. The final point we said was Yisrael, when we first heard about him, was when Pari was thinking, what should we do with these Israelites? And Yisro, Bilam said, persecute them. Eof said nothing, and Yisro ran away. We asked, why did he run away? Why didn't Yisro stay and argue the case on behalf of Yisro? So here we can suggest a very, very deep point that is based on this. That essentially, Yisro said, there's no point in me arguing with Pari. Why? Because when Pari made the decision, or even conceived the notion, let's enslave Yisrael, let's persecute them, was Pari aware of the fact that this is wrong? Says Yisro, certainly he was, because Hashem's presence resides everywhere in the world, even in the non-Jews, even in the Gentiles, even in Pari himself. Hashem's presence is there. Pari has got a consciousness fundamentally of what is right and what is wrong, and to enslave Yisrael, the people of Hashem, that's fundamentally wrong. That's going against the whole essence of creation. And if Pari is considering that, he knows it's wrong. And Hashem, so to speak, has come to Pari in terms of his consciousness, his conscience, and has said, Pari, this is wrong. And Pari, if he's still considering enslaving Yisrael, that means that Yisrael has rejected, Pari has rejected even what Hashem is telling him this is wrong. Because a per Yisrael, Pari knows exactly what Hashem is telling him that this is wrong. And if Pari is still considering it, then Pari means he has rejected even Hashem's opinion, so to speak, Hashem's determination that this is completely wrong. And therefore, says Yisro, there's no point in me arguing with Pari about this, because Pari has already argued this case with Hashem, and as Pari has rejected Hashem's opinion, so to speak, this is wrong. So I'm going to start arguing with Pari. If Pari is considering this, obviously he has decided to reject even what Hashem tells him that this is wrong, and therefore says Yisro, there's no point in me arguing with Pari, and therefore Yisro runs away. Bye, Huti. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. That's our 10-minute talk. There's always another 5,000 people underneath here, which you just can't see them, so I'm going to have to fix the computer to make it work. But thank you, everyone, and Huti and Lost Scotch, and everyone should have a wonderful evening. And we'll meet in Mitzvah Hashem sometime next time we have a relevant topic to talk about. Shkoyach.